Let's record. All right. Looks like everything's up and going. Welcome out. We're heading into lesson 12, concentration. Periodically, I've been connecting these elements, the 16, well, the portion at least that we've done so far, in this case, 11, 12. Trying to connect these elements so that there's connectivity, so there's a flow, so there's some type of organic understanding and flow between the lessons. That they're not really designed to. And again, what I'll do at the end is I'm going to do some type of layout or presentation, and maybe in a chart form, and we can look at all the different concepts. We can kind of get an overview of all 16 elements, lessons, chapters, whatever you want to call them, and get a better understanding of how they all interrelate and interconnect, not in a complete or absolute sense, but just to kind of give you a general overview, as I'm doing for each chapter, a general overview of how these chapters or these lessons or these concepts under the umbrella of high achievement, success, right? Again, success, not necessarily becoming rich and famous, but whatever you define as success. Are you a kindergarten teacher? Are you a traffic cop? Are you I don't know if they have traffic cops or police officer. Are you an executive? Are you a lawyer? Are you a doctor? Are you an entrepreneur? So these concepts, as has been set out or was set out at the beginning by me and has been set out by the author, pretty much show you that this material can be utilized by anyone. Okay, and it certainly has its shortcomings, but nevertheless, it's a book that's been around nearly 100 years, and many people are very familiar with Law of Success, 16 Lessons, Napoleon Hill. Almost anyone who's anyone in the field of achievement or motivation, I guess more of achievement. Can you really motivate people? Maybe temporarily, but in order to get people to do something of considerable work and effort, something that will take more than just a few days or weeks, something that takes years to accomplish, you need something more than just motivation, Anyways, and that's therefore these lessons, right? There is a sure way to avoid criticism: be nothing and do nothing. There you go. Get a job as a street sweeper and kill off ambition. The remedy never fails. And this is true. Most people really don't come out of their comfort zones. And how many people move out of their hometown? How many people get away from their family and friends and their comfortable surroundings? Don't just go off to college, get a degree, come home and marry their high school sweetheart. And again, nothing wrong with that, but that's not everybody's. That shouldn't be everybody's path, right? The paths vary. If that's your path and you're happy with it, fine. But then the thing is, people don't like criticism, that's why people don't like to speak in front of people. You can go on the internet, there's all types of criticism out there. Every time somebody posts something, there's always some weird, negative, offbeat, unusual, unrelated, silly, empty-headed, mundane, mindless comments, right? And it really does get kind of burdensome and boring. Where do these people come from? I mean, is everybody? I often think of when I'm on the internet, is everybody 12 years old? Really, nobody's older than 12. Even in regards to sports or athletics, I've been watching sports for a long, long time. I like football, baseball, basketball, and the standard American sports. And teams go up and down. They have good streaks and bad streaks. They have injuries. They're focused. They're not focused. They're unfocused. They're making trades. They're adding. They're deleting. So there's changes that go on throughout the season, and I've seen this happen time and time again. For instance, this season, I'm a Red Sox fan. Sorry for all you Yankee fans, but I come from Connecticut. My mother is from Massachusetts, Boston. My father even tried out for the Red Sox. So New Englanders, pretty much all Red Sox fans, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine. We're all pretty much Red Sox fans. So anyways, I've seen the Red Sox do well and do poorly. And since the 2000, as far as World Series wins, they have more than any other team since 2000 over the last 23 years. So I've seen that success. And then there was 86 years, I think, where they didn't win anything. And much of my young life, from when I first started watching the Red Sox 13 to, what was I, 28, 30, I forget. Yeah, I saw them lose or not win the World Series. They were in several World Series, but they didn't win until 2004. And then the great curse was lifted. And the whole thing has changed ever since, the mindset. And that's the thing. But this year, the Tampa Bay Rays, used to be the Devil Rays, but Rays, we can't have any bad names. Devil Rays, no, we can't have that. Tampa Bay Rays started off like gangbusters, winning everything and anything. They could just look at the schedule and get a win, That's how hot they were, right? I like that one. Could just look at the schedule and get a win. I like it. I'll have to use that in the future. A good job. But anyways, I said this will not last long. At some point, eventually, the team will cool off and the losses will come. Well, the losses have come, not as much as I anticipated. Now they're losing like crazy. Now they just look at the schedule and get an L, right? So they went from, I don't know, the Red Sox were like 16 games out. Now they're 8 games out, 7 games out. Red Sox have been the hottest team since June 30th, and this is how it goes. So all the Red Sox fans, fire Bloom, the general manager, fire Cora, fire the coach, trade, get rid of the entire team. Just start over, which is almost always, clearing house is almost always the dumbest strategy ever. Never works out. And I mean never works out, right? You're basically starting from scratch, which is ridiculous. So anyways, now they've moved up in the rankings. They're one of the top 12, 13 teams. Hottest team in the American League since June 30th, and they're just plowing along. Everything's clicking, and some players have come back from injuries, and now Tampa's losing like crazy. And soon they'll be out of first place, and soon probably the Red Sox will be in third, second, moving up even more. There's still plenty of season left. Who knows what's going to happen? So I wasn't panicking. I wasn't calling a championship, a World Series win for the Rays, for Tampa Bay at the beginning of the season. Said it's a long season. It's a long haul. When it's a long season, it's a long haul. It takes a lot of time. You have to have patience. You have to put up with losses. You have to be mature. You have to be disciplined. You have to be focused. You have to be patient. Did I say patient? Patient. You're going to have some setbacks. You're going to have some in your life. Now, let's get away from the sports analogy. In your life, you're going to have some physical setbacks. You're going to have some mental and emotional and financial, economic setbacks, material setbacks, spiritual setbacks, right? But inevitably, in most cases, most of the time, most people get through them, right? And that's the facts, statistics, right? Let's move on. This lesson occupies a keystone position in this course. For the reason, did I get the right one? Excuse me. And of course, for the reason that the psychological law upon which it is based is of vital importance to every other lesson of the course, right? Let us define the word concentration as it is here used as follows. That seems very familiar. Keystone. The previous lesson was also keystone, if you remember, to maybe not in this extreme. Concentration is the act of focusing the mind upon a given desire until ways and means for its realization have been worked out and successfully put into operation. Two important laws enter into the act of concentrating the mind on a given desire. One is the law of autosuggestion. And again, I'm not a huge fan of autosuggestion or that concept. I think it does have some value and merit and application. I don't use it to the depth to which it's used by Hill in this lesson as he teaches it, right? And I don't know if people still teach it or preach it or believe in it or whatever. But there you have it. It is what it is. And this is, anyways, concentration is very important. And what you're doing with these reading materials, whatever it is that you're reading, you're not necessarily going into a book or concept or lesson or lessons, right? Or laws, and just following everything verbatim, right? Here's 10 steps. I'm going to follow every step exactly as is given to me in each step by the individual teacher, right? No, you're going to be smart. You're going to be intelligent. You're going to be discerning. You're going to figure out what applies to you. What golden nuggets? What can you take with you, right? That's what I've done with all these texts that I've read over the years. Whether I'm reading books on philosophy, on theology, on economics, the money system, math, science, any of these books, what do I take away from what I've read that I can apply in my life that are good, solid principles that I can build upon, that I can build a successful house of achievement on, I guess you could say, right? You know, what can I use? What do I keep? What do I throw away? What do I modify? Or what do I change? Right. So that's how you do it. So you're just kind of like you're a schmolder, not a schmuck, but a schmolder. You know what a schmolder is? A Scully and Mulder. I don't know if you remember X-Files. I never really watched it myself, right? But that just popped into my head one time. They're FBI agents always sifting for clues, right? That's what you are. You're a schmolder, kind of an amalgamation, a combination of the two, right? You got the male and the female, right? The schmolder FBI agent, right? One is the law of autosuggestion, the other is law of habit. The former has been fully described in the previous lesson. Again, refer to that if you're interested. We will now briefly describe the law of habit. Habits are good. Thoughts become words, become deeds, become actions, become habits, kind of something along that line, kind of, right? Right? Everything starts in the brain. Everything starts as a thought. It all begins there. And then your thoughts, your consistent, concerted means you're focused on them. Concerted thoughts, thought patterns, and focus, you know, become your words, becomes your action, becomes your deeds, becomes your character, right? So I'm very careful, pretty careful, not completely, absolutely. Nobody's perfectly careful, right? Everybody's human, fallible, weak moments, forgets. But as far as what I put into my brain, I'm not reading or taking in, at least, the majority of comments or commentary on the internet. I'm on what am I on? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Right? Forgot about that. YouTube. No kidding. Okay, that's what I'm doing now. So those media, social media, are great because they afford an opportunity for you to cut out the middle person, right? In the old days, you used to have to, if you wanted to sell something, you used to have to find somebody or someone through whom you're going to sell that thing. Like in the music industry, right? You have to go to the record company. Now you just go online, you buy some software, you write some songs, you get some music software, music making or recording software. Record your music. I had a friend back in the day when I was in a band. He used to record everything. He made a demo. He had drums, bass, piano. He was a piano player, and I put the guitar on there. But he had pretty much everything else, and programmed it, the drum machine and all these software and stuff, right? And then put a demo together, right? Did it himself, and now you could do that. You can put it on Justin Bieber, the Justin Biebers of the world. I think he was one of the originals. Just get on there and sing some songs, and people will hear. Now you got all these YouTubers and movies and stuff, right? So it's a great way to communicate your stuff, cutting out the middle person. You go direct to the consumer, right? It's good, even though there's a lot of garbage out there, even stuff that's selling really well. I don't, no idea why people like it, but do we just? Habits grow out of the environment of doing the same thing in the same way over and over again, out of repetition, out of thinking the same thoughts over and over. And when one is forced, it resembles a cement form. Sorry. It resembles a cement block that is hardened in the mold, and that it is hard to break. Habit is the basis of all memory training, a fact which you may easily demonstrate in remembering the name of a person, blah, 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 right? Habits. I used to play football, baseball, basketball. I couldn't really practice baseball or football by myself. Football, you need 22. Baseball, you need, 18, right? Or, at least enough to cover infield, outfield, pitch, catch. So basketball, I could practice on my own. So what I used to do, and that's probably why I enjoyed it and became really good at that. I was good at football and pretty decent at baseball, but I excelled at basketball. And I would go out and take 100 shots. If I didn't make 80, I'd start over. Didn't make, as soon as I realized I wasn't going to make 80, start over, do it again, do it again, do it again. And if you shoot enough, and if you practice enough, and if you dribble enough, and if you play, practice, experience a particular thing that you're studying, trying to get better at, basketball in this case, right? After time, you become good at it. It becomes habit. I used to make shots. Balls would go into the basket, and I don't even know what I did. It's almost, you've practiced so much, you've done it so many times that it becomes a part of your subconscious, right? You don't, it was the same thing. If you want to present or speak in front of people, you really got to practice. But I do it now and I get zero nervous. I may get annoyed because I go, oh, I got to wait for 5 people. Just give me their time. I'll do their time and mine. Please let me go. Let me go. I want to speak. Right. Now I'm obnoxious with it. Right. As opposed to before, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I never talked to anybody probably until my mid-20s. Right. So it was just a habit. So I put myself, in order to get myself to speak and to be in front of people and be a good speaker, good presenter, I forced myself to be in front of people day after day after day after day after day. How do you become a good speaker? How do you become a good hitter? How do you become a good coach? How do you become a good counselor? How do you become a good hockey player? How do you become a good CEO, programmer, an accountant, whatever? Do it over and over and over and over, endlessly over and overs, right? There's a book out there called the 10,000 hour rule, and some of it has been poo-pooed or looked seen in a negative light, or some have tried to not malign it, but belittle it and make it not as valid as it once was. But it basically says that in order to be an expert at something, you have to do something for about 10,000 hours worth of time. About right. Because when I finally started to teach, it took me about 3.5 years. And that's when I just began to teach well. I was in the flow, right? And I figured it out since I was teaching probably, I don't know, 20 class hours a week as an adjunct, with certain time off. I figured out 10,000 hours was about 3.5 years for me. So, and that's true. After about 3.5 years, that was it. Anyways, the force of education is so great that we may mold the minds and manners of the young into whatever shape we please. Key point, whatever, and give the impression of such habit as shall ever afterwards remain, right? So this is the thing. There's a lot of stuff that's taught to you, maybe by culture, religion, family, education, teachers, others, right? It's especially impressionable young minds. We just absorb it. We don't question it. We don't look up. We don't research to see whether or not what we're being taught is true. And there's a lot of misinformation, mistruths, and misplaced information, education that goes on. And that's something I'll talk about later. I'd say most of your education, for formal school education, pretty worthless, right? Math, science, literature. I don't know what else you got. Some other miscellaneous classes, shop, home ec, gym class. I don't know what else you got, right? But how many people are going to become biologists or chemists or the mathematicians or use hardcore math using formulas on a regular basis, day-to-day basis? Not many. You know why? Michio Kaku talks about that, right? Remember that the video that was in one of my first videos in talking about education? Might have been the second video. I don't remember. Go look at it. And he talks about the fact that the U.S. education, at least for math, is terrible, right? If the dummy index were any higher, just look at he says, just look at what people watch on television. Those ridiculously idiotic and dumb reality shows. There's nothing real about those shows. I've had students who've been on those shows, and they say, well, television isn't about just accidentally catching something that will get views. It's about formally, intentfully putting something together that will hopefully get views, right? So it's planned out, right? And these students, one was on a find a date show or something like that, and another one was in one of those shows where they're all in a house or something. They're trying to do some odd weird stuff. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but like a Naked and Afraid or Big Brother or all those ridiculously dumb, time-wasting shows, right? I never watched them. I don't have cable. I don't have satellite. I don't like watching any show that repeats, because I don't want to become addicted to something that I don't choose to become addicted to, or involved in something that starts to take my free agency or my free will from me. I very rarely, if ever, sit down and will watch a season after season or a series of shows. Probably I can count on one hand. Seinfeld I did. With my son, I did the 70s show, but we were both doing that together, spending time with your kids, so that's fine. I don't know what else. I can't think of anything else. I've watched series after series, season after season, all the way through. I really can't. Anyways, let's continue with this. Except on rare occasions when the mind rises above environment, the human mind draws the material out of which thought is created from the surrounding environment, and habit crystallizes this thought into a permanent fixtures and stores it away in the subconscious mind, where it becomes a vital part of our personality, which silently influences our actions. Silently is the key word, right? Stealthily, silently, without observation or understanding or recognition, right? Silently influences our actions, forms our prejudices and our biases, and controls our opinions. Stop. keep hearing something. It's something. I think I'm pushing up against my, or maybe it's the breeze from the AC blowing on. Oh, it stopped. Okay. This was freaking me out. Anyways, thoughts taking over. Anyways, yeah. So you're not, and I became aware of this probably in my, I don't know, when was that? Late 20s, early 30s, that, my parents are great. I love them, both good people, but there were certain things I'm thinking that I was taught, or habits I learned, thoughts I learned through traditions, through culture, through familial conditioning, through teachers, through particular political party, through whatever, right? That I was not, that I did not necessarily line up with. And I didn't necessarily think that they were the end all and the cure all, right? There were definitely some issues, some concerns, some what's, what, right? So I started to sift through all of what was in me, how I had been conditioned, right? Let's read this again. A permanent fixture and stores it away in the subconscious mind where it becomes a vital part of our personality, which silently influences our actions, right? This is the thinking that you've done over and over again. Maybe the thinking that's been placed there by well-meaning, possibly even, I don't know, maybe not well-meaning, but anyways, it's placed there by whom? By your parents, friends, family, teachers, television characters, famous people, movie characters, TV show characters. I don't know. I don't want that shit, a good portion of it is, in my head. I don't want to be conditioned, controlled, managed, and manipulated and massaged into a particular way of thinking if it runs counter to common sense, logic, good thinking. If it's misinformation, if it's lies, if it's immoral, if it's unethical, I don't want that garbage in here. Inner projection, good stuff in, good stuff out. Good stuff in, good stuff out. That's why I don't sit around watching a lot of R-rated movies with gratuitous, pointless, meaningless sex and violence. Doesn't bother me. I've seen sex, I've seen violence. That stuff doesn't upset me. I still watch the occasional, I was watching some war films, where people are being, I just watched again with my son since he turned 18, Saving Private Ryan. That's an A+ film, right? And it has some great lessons. Sometimes in order to learn some great lessons, you have to go through some great gore, difficulty. The stuff that I've watched, and I don't want to even tell you what some of that stuff is. Very gory, very horrendous. I've watched operations, so I can watch somebody cut into a person and cut open the body and work on it. So I'm not grossed out easily, hardly at all. I don't know why, but that's just me. And I've also seen the sexual act. I did as a kid. Looking at those movies and films that you're not supposed to look at when you're a kid, right? But now I avoid that stuff. Why? Because I don't want those pollutants in my head, right? And it's not about being pristine or a goody-goody two-shoes. I don't care about that. Nothing goody-goody two-shoes about me, right? Matter of fact, I could be pretty ornery at times. Most of the time, I'm pretty cool. Ask my son the other day. My son had a birthday party, and my stepson's wife, kids, a whole bunch of people were over, and I got really mad at what the kids were doing. And they saw funny fun time grandpa blow a gasket. But I rarely do that. I pick my battles. I don't want to make it a habit to be like that. That's negative. You can't live like that, right? It's not very fun. It's not very fulfilling. It's not very productive. It's not useful. It doesn't have many positives. Little merit to being like that all the time. If you're like that, fix it. Something's wrong with your life. Fix you. Something's wrong with you. Fix it. Stop it. little off the beaten path, but nevertheless. Let's move forward. A great philosopher had in mind the power of habit when he said, we first endure, then pity, and finally embrace. And speaking of the manner in which honest men come to indulge in crime, right? At first, something really nasty, and maybe crime or other things, right? Maybe just disrespecting people or talking nasty or, hanging out with the wrong people, wrong crowd, wrong place, doing the wrong things. Maybe at first it's like, I don't like this. And then you endure it, then you pity it. Oh, well, you know what? It's not that bad. Poor little criminal creatures. I'm going to hang out with them. And then finally, oh, I love this stuff, right? So, and that's that's usually how the belligerent, nobody's, I don't want to say nobody, but most people are not criminals or murderers or evil right off the bat, right? You have to swim in that mindset for a while, right? Make it a habit, right? I can tell you, I've worked with people. I befriended a person who was born to his mother in prison. This was through my church. He was born through, and these are the people I used to hang out with. I used to hang out with bikers and stuff, and I could deal with any of those people anytime, no biggie. As a matter of fact, I've always had a sense of humor, as you know. I did stand up, and I was making these bikers laugh pretty hard. The thing that made them laugh the hardest was said, "Hey, you should get a bike." I said, "Hey, you should buy me one." They thought that was. But my friends were looking at me like, "They're gonna kill you." They laughed like crazy. That they thought that was hilarious, and so. I think about it now. It's actually funny to me now. When I said it then, I didn't think it was that funny, but they were laughing, right? So I've hung out with some seedy people. I've done the seedy thing, but I don't want to live there, right? It's not a place to endure, pity, and then embrace. None of those things. I've been down in the muck and the mire and the death and the evil and the scum and the depression. I don't want to live there. I've been there. I've been way, way down, way down, way, way down. Suicidal tendencies. I wanted to take my own life. I was miserable every day. Constant, continuous depression. I don't want to live there. You want to live there? Stupid. It's stupid, right? Dumb, idiotic, infantile, immature, counterproductive. It's not good for anybody. Never mind you. Nobody else you come in association with, it's not good for. So what's that good for? You live what? What's the average lifespan now in the United States? 86 years? Out of the endless zillions of years to eternity, this is nothing. We're all dead. We're already all dead. This is nothing. Think of the billions of people that have been your age, my age, and are gone now. Billions. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I give you the New York alphabet, but it's got some curse words in it. It goes F and A. You know the New York alphabet? F and A, F and B. Habit may be likened to the groves on a phonograph. Groves. That should be grooves. How am I talking about? Grooves. Phonograph record. That's old. It looks like it looks like a big CD, and you put a needle on it, and it would go pop, 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 make noise, and then play. You might have seen those things, maybe in old movies. Go to the museum, or maybe YouTube will have them. Well, the mind may be likened to the needle point that fits in the groove. When any habit has been well formed, the mind attaches itself to it. I can't read through it, and follows that habit as closely as the phonograph needle follows the groove in the wax record. Yeah, there were wax records. No matter what may be the nature of that habit. Oh, there you go. See, and this is old stuff, but what? People are people. Whether we're 100 years old, 500 years old, 1,000 years old, humans are still humans. They're fallible. They've kind of been doing the same things forever and a day. Just go, that's why I don't get racism. I mean, you're looking at different colors of people. You think that's a difference? No, we're all the same. We all want the same thing, right? Racism or sexism or any ism is just complete, utter, dumb, stupid, idiotic thinking. Right? What are you thinking? Problem is, a lot of people don't think. Right? Not a lot of disciplined thinkers out there, good thinkers out there, rigorous, thorough, critical, creative, intuitive thinkers. We begin to see, therefore, the importance of selecting our environment with the greatest of care. What did I say? What did I just say? What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? What did I say? Environments. Where do you go? Who do you hang out with? Who do you associate? Where do you put your eyes? What do you read? What do you listen to? What do you follow? Select environment with the greatest of care, because environment is the mental feeding ground out of which the food that goes into our minds is extracted. Bravo. Environment very largely supplies the food and materials out of which we create thought, and habit crystallizes these into permanency. I almost read pregnancy, but it's not. You, of course, understand that environment is the sum total of sources through which you're influenced and by through the aid of the five senses of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling. Habit is force, which is generally recognized by the average thinking person, but which is commonly viewed in its adverse aspect to the exclusion of its favorable phase. Read that 5 times fast. It has been well said that all men, humans, people, are creatures of habit, and that habit is a cable. We weave a thread of it each day, and it becomes so strong that we cannot break it, right? If it be true that habit becomes a cruel tyrant, ruling and compelling men against their will, it's our inclination, and this is true in many cases, the question naturally arises in the thinking mind whether this mighty force cannot be harnessed and controlled in the service of humans, just as have other forces of nature. If this result can be accomplished, then humans may master habit and set it to work instead of being a slave to it. Many are slaves. Many just go out there. Their followers are following the follow, have been following the follow forever and a day. Just do it. Don't think. Be dumb. Get on the internet. Dress the same. Think the same. Go to the same places. Applaud the same thing. Watch the same show. Listen to the same people. Hang out with the same crowd. Read the same book. Same. You're an idiot. You're a freaking idiot. You're a moron. You're a moron. Don't be a moron. More off the beaten path, not more on it. Get off the beaten path, not more on it. Oh, I'm getting pissed. Ooh, I feel the fever coming. I feel the flames building. Why? Because I see this way too much. This is why I do this. It's got to stop. The madness has to stop. Hopefully I can put a dent in the madness. I think Stephen Jobs said, I want to put a dent in the universe. I want to put a dent in the madness. Write that down. Make it into a meme. And the modern psychologists tell us in no uncertain tones, is that terms or tones? Tones that habit may certainly be thus mastered, harnessed, and set to work instead of being allowed to dominate one's actions and character. And thousands of people have applied this knowledge and have turned the force of habit into new channels and have compelled it to work their machinery of action instead of being allowed to run to waste. Instead of being allowed to run to waste, or else permitted to sweep away the structures that men have erected with care and expense, or to destroy fertile mental fields. This is good stuff. I see quotes. Did I miss something? I guess he's quoting himself. A habit is a mental path over which our actions, that's good anyways, I'm going to read it all, have traveled for some time, each passing making the path a little deeper, a little wider. If you have to walk over a field or through a forest, you know how natural it is for you to choose the clearest path in preference to the less worn ones, and greatly in preference to stepping out across the field or through the woods and making a new path. And the line of mental action is precisely the same. It is moving along the lines of least resistance passage over the well-worn path. Habits are created by repetition, are formed in accordance to a natural law, observable in all animate things, and some would say in inanimate things as well. As an instance of the latter, it is pointed out that a piece of paper, once folded in a certain way, will fold along the same lines the next time. And all users of sewing machines or other delicate pieces of machinery know that as a machine or instrument is once broken in, so will it tend to run thereafter. The same law is also observable in the case of musical instruments. Clothing or gloves, form into creases across, according to the person using them. True. like a baseball glove. It eventually becomes comfortable because it forms to your hand, right? And almost, and enough time and enough pressure is applied on it, and it's been used enough, it almost becomes like not a baseball glove, but like a mitten, right? That conforming and that comfortable and that close to the hand's shape, form, sensation, feel, movement. And these creases, once formed, will always be in effect, notwithstanding repeated pressings. Rivers and streams of water cut their courses through the land. You get the point. These illustrations will help you to form the idea of the nature of habit and will aid you in forming new mental paths, new mental creases. This is exactly what I did. I grew up totally withdrawn, shy, within myself, never speaking to anyone, afraid of my own shadow, hated going out, hated being around people, in front of people. I didn't like people, didn't want to talk to people. Still not a big fan of people. But now I can get out in front of people and talk to people and be the person large and in charge, as needs be, in order to affect what I need to affect upon the environment. It's not about me, right? It's about you. It's about me getting what you need from here or whatever other source to you so that you can better yourself, improve yourself. Because I've been there and it really, 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 really sucks. Wanting to die. Total introversion. Lack of any sense of self, self-confidence, awareness, merit. I don't want to be there. You don't want to be there, right? So therefore I give you this. So therefore this. This is what I do this. This is why I do this. And remember this always, the best, and one might also say the only way in which old habits may be removed is to form new habits, to counteract or replace the undesirable ones. So all the stuff that was not, I don't want to say all, most of the stuff that was bad for me. So what did I do? I started walking upright. I started looking people in the eye and holding their gaze. It's a little weird. I didn't think too much about it, but I'm 6'4", 250, probably over that now, probably 260. I'm a big guy. Imagine some big hulking guy staring at you. But that was my physical. Inside, I was a little mouse, tiny mouse, right? So I had to catch up to the physical, right? And I did. And eventually I got so caught up that I had to pull myself back. I found myself overextending, beyond the confident, right? That's just like, man, I would get up and talk to anybody toe to toe, do anything, go any place, anywhere. And that was just 180 degrees from what I used to be, right? And it totally, completely, absolutely changed my life for the better. So let's do the same for everyone. Form new mental paths, less distinct in a time will practically fill up from disuse. You know what it is? I was so down in the dirt and the muck and the mire. I've been there. And I pulled myself up. Other than death, I've seen the worst of the worst, It was terrible. I wasn't tortured or anything, mentally. But I lived in complete, absolute, utter darkness. Day after day. Complete, abject, absolute depression, darkness, lack of feeling, isolation, complete isolation. Man, not good. Every time you travel over the path of the desirable mental habit, you make the path deeper and wider. It's like you've got these little synaptic nerves that go from neuron to neuron in your brain. And you're sending an electrical charge again and again and again and again over the synapses to the brain cells, to the neurons. And you do it with physical motor skills, and then you want to do it with mental. The mental, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, just habits. This mental path making is a very important thing, and I cannot urge upon you too strongly the injunction to start to work making desirable mental paths over which you wish to travel. Practice. Be a good path. Be a good little path. Come on. Be a good little path maker. Come on. You can do it. Come on, little mousy. Get up, little mousy. Atta boy. Okay. Walk again. So, Following are the rules proceeded through which you may form habits. I'm not going to go through these. You can read them first, second, third. It is a striking coincidence that American ends with I can. Are you an American? Are you a Mexican? What was that? Johnny Depp. What was that movie? Johnny Depp in that movie. And he says to the guy, are you a Mexican or Mexican? Same joke. Anything that ends in can. Right? Are you American or American? What's that movie? A Day Without Mexicans? I forgot what it was. Anyways. Then he talks about, after you get past the fifth there, talks about a close relationship between habit, auto-suggestion. Yeah, auto-suggestion, you can definitely work that into the mix, but I don't know to what degree you want to do that. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not a real auto-suggestion guy. I've done it, I've used it, I've practiced it, but I didn't really find it that useful. I was more about just getting out and doing it. Just do it. Do it, like the Nike thing. Just do it. Do it. Who was that? Shia LaBeouf, remember? Just do it. No. I get too much sleep. When I get too much sleep, I'm in trouble. I'm telling you. If your environment is not to your liking, change it. Oh, yeah. Online or offline. You don't like certain social media, get off it. You don't like certain groups, get off it. You don't like certain people, block, delete. You don't like hanging out certain places, don't hang there. You don't like reading certain stuff, don't read it. You don't like certain channels, you don't like television, you don't like certain shows, you don't like this, you don't like that. Don't get there, don't go there. If it's counterproductive, intuitively counterproductive, it has some merits. If it has some merit or some value and you're avoiding it, you might want to repurpose that or rethink it. Right? But generally, if it's a deterrent, if it's a detractor, if it's a negative, if it's a nasty, if it's dark, dirty, yuck, why are you hanging out? It's like people on the internet always giving suggestions. I see nothing. There was who was it? Selena Gomez being body shamed, one of the many or something. And there was pictures of her and she just looks normal for 30. She's not 19 anymore or 21. You put on a little weight, a little bit. I mean, she's not fat at all. Just start to put on that I'm over 30 weight. And then you get over 40, 50, 60. That's just the body changes. You see people when they're in their teens, and then you see them maybe in their 30s or 40s, say, and you go, what the hell is that? I don't recognize. Did they have plastic surgery? No, they had plastic life, or they had living is what they had. It's called living and growing old. So they're body shaming her. And I looked at her, I said, no, she's 30 now. I said, she's not a teenager or in her 20s anymore. She looks older. She looks a little different. Her body has changed, but she's not fat. There's nothing about her that's fat. Maybe at times she's been a little heavier than not, but this is one of the occasions when she wasn't heavy at all. Just her shape was changing, altering a little bit as one's body does as it ages. The level of dumb in this country, in this society, in this world is on. Don't be dumb, please. Don't add to the dumb index, the dummy index. Lesson 2 of this course, you learn that the first step you must take in accomplishing any desire is create in your mind a dear. What is to create in your mind a dear, well-defined picture? Is that right? It's to create in your mind a dear, well-defined picture of that which you intend to accomplish. I don't know if that's a typo or if that's old English, Middle English. Actually, Middle English was 16th century. First principle to be observed in your plans for achievement of success, right? Daily associates. Your daily associates constitute one of the most important and influential parts of your environment and may work for your progress or your retrogression going backwards according to the nature of those associates. As far as possible, you select as your most intimate daily associates those who are in sympathy with your aims and ideals. My wife. People in my community, people in my church, my best friends, especially those represented by your definite chief aim and whose mental attitude inspires you with enthusiasm, self-confidence, determination, You know who kept harping on me to do these videos? My wife. She says, you should do it. You got a lot to say. You got a lot of good stuff to say. I'm a fan. She doesn't say that often. And at first I was kind of reluctant. I was a little slow to get to it. I don't know why, but eventually, once I started doing it, man, and it became a habit, it exploded. Then he's got an example. He's finally getting into some evidence here. Some evidence to build a case point. This brings us to the appropriate place. I'm looking at the fourth paragraph down, at which to describe the method through which you may apply the principles directly and indirectly related to the subject of concentration. Let us call this method the magic key to success. In presenting you with this magic key, let me first explain that it is no invention or discovery of mine, right? But what's new? Most ideas are good ideas, and they've probably been around for decades, centuries, right? All the stuff I'm giving you, some of it I'm not aware of it being taught or conveyed to people through others, but I'm sure it has been some variation of said theme. But most of the stuff I'm giving you has been around for a while. It is the same key that is used in one form or another by the followers of New Thought. That's, I don't know what that is. That's 1928, remember? And all other aspects founded upon the positive philosophy of optimism. Magic key constitute an irresistible power, which all who will may use. It will unlock door to riches, door to fame, and in many instances, unlock the door to physical health. Ooh. Unlock the door to education, right? Through the aid of this magic key, we have unlocked the secret doors to all the world's great inventions. Through its magic powers, all of our great geniuses of the past have been developed, right? Then they go into some examples. Suppose Carnegie, Rockefeller, Morgan, right? Now let me define concentration in the sense that it is here used. First, second to last paragraph. I wish it to be clearly understood that I have no reference to occultism. I didn't think he was of the occult, but I still think some of that which he purports, supports, advocates, slings about through his lessons, not based in hard science, a little pseudo science. Not my thing. To each his own. Yep. I have a friend who's into numerology. She can discern things about people through using numbers. Let me see, what's your age? Okay, add that to your shoe size, divided by your waist and your oldest sibling's hat size. Stuff like that, you know. And I thought that's weird. And then she started doing it to me, and I'm going, oh crap, it's working. That's why you can never doubt things, you know. I'm skeptic about stuff, but I'm always open. Because what do I know, right? The hell do I know? And if you're not open, then you're probably a god and you know everything. And I know people I had a problem with that. There was a friend of mine who said, she said, yeah, I have a problem with my boyfriend. It's religion. And I said, yeah, really? What religion is he? It's not that. He thinks he's God. He thinks, so I'm thinking, what is he, Christian? Jew? No, it's not that. I have a problem with my boyfriend. It's religious. I said, oh yeah, what religion is he? No, he's not of a religion. He thinks he's God. That's a religious problem. Let's see. Third paragraph. Concentration is the ability to think as you wish to think. The ability to control your thoughts and direct them to definite end, right? Yeah. This is what I had to do when I was standing up in front of people. When I first tried to stand up in front of people, I couldn't think. I couldn't get a word out. Because I'm very introverted by nature. And I really hadn't talked to anybody until I was like 25. I didn't do stand up until I was 28 or something. And I had to really, really, really pull myself out So I started doing, there were many times I would get to a club and I'd look at the stage and just leave. No, most of this was just in the beginning, kind of open mic. You just sign up, So I'd get there, or I'd even sign up and I'd go, I ain't going up there. Yeah. And those occasions of not going up became less and less, fewer and fewer, as I practiced the habit of getting up 4, 5, 6, 7 nights a week, right? Then after doing it year after year after year, I was pretty good at it, right? Started getting bookings at various comedy clubs and rooms. Many of the comedians themselves had comedy rooms, which was nothing more than like a restaurant or some non-comedy venue, and they'd have a particular night, but big places sometimes. I was at one restaurant, invited my parents, first time they saw me, out in Rhode Island. Tiny little state. Remember Dumb and Dumber? That's what Rhode Island. Remember the big cockroach on top of the building they drove by? I used to drive by that all the time. Was it cockroach or ant, some bug? Anyways, so I got up and there's probably 200-300 people in that room. All the seats were full, right? Probably the first biggest presentation I ever did. I did pretty good. I even dealt with some hecklers and people laughed about that. But I was still kind of rough. Took me a while. Now, I could be naked in front of a crowd and I'd be comfortable. You would be uncomfortable. A lot of people throwing up and running. Throwing up and running. All right. But me, I don't care. Make a weakness a strength. Here's a pledge. Take a pledge. I've done these things. I don't know if I've written them down, but I've spoken them to myself in the mirror. I am going to become a powerful public speaker because this will enable me to render the world useful service. I don't do this really, right? These pledges and these aphorisms and what is it called? Auto suggestions, right? I don't really do that. I'm more into the just doing. Something's squeaking down there. Sorry. So you can do that if that works for you. Again, I'm just throwing this stuff at you. What works, what doesn't work, right? Do not underestimate the power of the magic key. Second to last paragraph. Because it did not come to you clothed in mysticism, or because it is described in language which all who will may understand. All great truths are simple in final analysis true, and easily understood. If they are not great truths. There you go. Oh, that's it. Richard Feynman was a abstract physicist in between Hawking and Einstein. And he said, if physics is so important, it should be easy to understand. So I should be able to teach its basics without complex formulas, math, using models maybe. I should be able to take it if it's so important, if it has such great truths, so useful, so important, like we say it is or think it is. I should be able to teach the basics. 6 Easy Pieces was the book, right? You could read that. I should be able to teach the basics to incoming freshmen. It didn't quite work out because physics, I read some physics concepts. I haven't done the math. I'm not going to do the math. That's beyond my scope of understanding, but physics itself is just, you got to have a different kind of brain, right? I ain't got it. I mean, I understand it to a degree, enough to talk about it, but basic understanding. But anything beyond the rudimentary, going into the intermediate, even dangerous for anyone I talk to. After the break there, the presence of any idea or thought in your conscious tends to produce an associated feeling and to urge you to appropriate or corresponding action. There's a guy by the name of Tony Robbins that does this stuff, right? He associates a feeling, right, to an action. And then he tries to disassociate that feeling from that action and show you that maybe that feeling is not from that action, it's from previous actions, similar actions, or similar negative, usually, actions that cause you to have that emotion that causes you to not be productive or to shut down or not get where you want to get, right? Again, I'm not into that. I've listened to Tony Robbins speak. I think I got the CDs and listened to them, but again, not my thing. To each his own, yeah. Hold a deeply seated desire in your consciousness. And that's the thing, you have to be a discerning consumer. Don't just go, everybody else is doing it. This is popular, Tony Robbins, so do it. No, if it doesn't work for you, or it's not you, don't do it. What are you, like into abuse or something? Hit me. That hurt. Do it again. Ow, yeah. Good times. A couple more would be great. Why? I don't know. Hit me. It hurt. You want to be hurt? No, but do it. People are really silly. When two or more people ally themselves in a spirit of perfect harmony for the purpose of attaining a definite end, if that alliance is faithfully observed by all whom is composed, the alliance brings to each of those of whom is composed power that is superhuman, seemingly irresistible in nature. Is that true to a degree? Has some truth to it. Is it completely and absolutely true, without a doubt? No questions? I don't know about that. Let's see. So this is going on with some more examples. Defeat, like a headache, warns us that something has gone wrong. If we are intelligent, we look for the cause and profit by the experience. Yeah, defeat. There's oftentimes you see these, or I see, or maybe you see or don't see, stickers. I think stickers on the back bumpers of people's cars. What does it say? Failure is not an option, right? Defeat. Failure is not an option. Well, if you try anything, you're going to fail. The more you try, the more you're going to fail. And the higher you want to go, the more you're going to fail, right? Michael Jordan. I have failed more than most, right? Because I wanted to go higher than most wanted to go, or were willing to sacrifice to go, right? So that means he just tried more and failed more, practiced more, maybe. I don't know, right? That type of thing. Edison example, the power, but let's see, as I have already stated. As I've already stated in many different ways, and for the purpose, second paragraph, of emphasis, I repeat, there is a well-founded hypothesis when one concentrates one's mind upon a given subject, facts of a nature that is closely related to that subject will pour in from every conceivable source. Nice. The theory is that a deeply seated desire, when once planted in the right sort of mental soil, serves as a center of attraction or magnet. There it is. The law of attraction. The secret. That's the secret. The law of attraction, like a magnet. Like I want a parking spot. I want a free parking. Focus on a free parking spot, empty parking spot, free parking spot. And all of a sudden, somebody left. This is what some people have witnessed or said that they have witnessed in their lives. Does it work like that? I don't know. I'm not sitting around in parking lots doing that, to be honest. But I guess in order to make it happen, you got to conceive, believe is a big part of it. Maybe I don't believe enough. Maybe I need to sit there. I have done some stuff that is extraordinary, but that's just going to happen by a random happenstance. A couple times, and not that I forced it. It seemed to be a more natural thing occurring at the moment. It's like seeing ghosts or something. What else we got? Anything else I want to keep going with this? Is it not strange that the word boomerang has been in the dictionary all these years, while it's having become generally known that as a boomerang is an instrument which comes back and may wound the hand that throws it, and may wound the hand that throws it. Does that make sense? Okay, let's see. I think, principles through which an accurate, unfaltering memory may be trained. There you go, retention. Yeah, unfaltering memory. So this is something that I've been able to do. And this is something else maybe I'll do later on. And I have different methodologies and techniques and stuff, but I'm able to commit a lot of stuff to memory, be able to keep it there, process it, retain it, and recall it when I need to. And it's been I've been able to do so relatively consistently. And it really has to do with you wanting to do it, you desiring to do it, you love what you love to do, learning what you love to learn. You're really in the flow. You have a passion, you're doing the right thing, you're in the right place, in the right mind, with the right thoughts, remembering the right things, right? And a lot of times it's not just to do tricks for people or impress them, it's to help them. I think if all that's in place, it really does work. Yeah, this is it, right? Retention, recall, recognition. And here's some steps you can follow third and all that stuff, right? Law of association, I've used that before. Do you see that lucky fellow over there who holds a position through pull? Who holds a position through pull? Let me whisper a secret in your ear. Fate is standing and waiting for him just around the corner with a stuffed club, and it is not stuffed with cotton. A position through pull, I don't know what that means. Anyways, here's another example. About 2 years ago, I noticed my power of concentration. So he's really, concentration itself is nothing but a matter of control of the attention, right? Very true. So if you want to go, I think we've covered enough here actually. We're pretty much near the end, right? So, well, there's a lot more there, but anyways, I'm not, look at this, 76, almost 80 pages just for one chapter. So as I said before, these chapters I think are a little too long, but anyways. There you go, we're done. Next one, cooperation, chapter 13. See you next time.